Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. This is Pastor Bruce, and welcome to One Man's Opinion. Today, I want to talk to you about our past presidents, especially Obama. Okay, and I want you to understand that I am frustrated, and every American out there should be frustrated because it's getting outrageous. Okay, now one of the things that you should be aware of is that today, as of January 20th, 2001, presidents make $400,000 a year. Now understand that President Donald Trump said, I don't want it. He's got enough money. He's living off his own money. And that's the same way. And if you look back at New York history, one of the mayors sat there and said, I don't want any money. Because I'm a millionaire, I'll spend my own money. And that helps. That says, look at the rich are doing what they're supposed to be doing, is taking care of the people and not asking the people to empty their pockets and fill their coffers. But understand $400,000. Now, according to the way this is set up, presidents have to be paid, and not have to be, but the annual rate of base pay for the head of an executive federal department is the same as what the president is going to get in retirement. And since 2015, it is $201,700 that Obama will be receiving as a retirement check, the same annual salary paid to secretaries of the cabinet. Now, that's fine. He's got $201,000. But ladies and gentlemen, he is submitting a budget for $1,153,000. $1,153,000 over and above his $201,700. Why? What is he doing? I hate to tell you this, but Obama, both of the Bushes and Clinton are doing the same thing. They're submitting budget requests to have money coming into them. They don't need it. They don't need it for the simple fact the Bushes are rich. So stop with your expense accounts because you're not getting it anymore. The only one that might be, I have to take a look at what his income is and what he's doing in his time, but he's in his 80s, so he really doesn't, or 90s rather, is Carter. Carter knows what it's like to be poor. He was a peanut farmer. Well, that means he owned a peanut ranch? I don't know. Maybe he's bringing in millions. He's a pastor. So as a pastor, you don't make a whole lot of money. But if he's bringing in $200,000 a year for sitting there in a rocking chair most of the time, then that's fine. We don't need to give him a budget. We definitely don't need to give Clinton, because Clinton's reported income is over $10 million. His daughter's worth $10 million. His wife is the same thing. They don't need to suck the American people's pockets in order to make more money. We're sitting there struggling as a society, trying to figure out how, and the rich Democrats out there and Republicans are getting richer off of us. Stop it. Tell them to stop. No, you're not getting $1,153,000 for your budget. You're not getting anything. You're making $201,000. Now, why am I so upset about this? Because it's just been reported that this righteous individual, Obama, who called Wall Street fat cats and condemned Wall Street and called them the one percenters, is going to Wall Street for a 1-hour speech for $400,000. He's making almost twice his retirement pay in one speech for an hour. Now, yes, he's got to pay taxes on that. Oh, wow. He can write books, which I think he's doing. So, the problem is, in his book, there's nothing there. He didn't do anything substantial but give away the respect, the dignity of the American people. He belittled us. He humiliated us. He called us things that we shouldn't have been called, because he wanted to bring us down to the level of every other country. Because the rest of the world hates us, people. They hate us because we stand tall and proud. We stand strong. And if somebody attacks us, we will attack them back as a nation, not as individual groups. as terrorist groups, but as a nation we will come together. Oh, President Trump is sitting there saying that. We are one. Americans first. We will unite together to be the great nation that we're supposed to be in order to lead the world. But the rest of the world doesn't want us that way. If you listen to his UN speech, he condemns socialism. Yet, under the UN agenda for 2030, they want to be a one world government under socialism. And we're condemning it today. Look at Venezuela, how they're being destroyed down there. Their people are going hungry. Riots are in the street because they're not being fed. They don't have jobs. The government is sitting there filling their pockets with the money from the people, money from the oil wells, and the people are suffering. That's what socialism is all about. So you millennials, if you think socialism is the greatest thing in the world, you are wrong. Do not listen to the agitators that are coming into this country telling you that the democratic republic that we have lived in for over 200 years is bad, because no other nation has grown as quickly as we have, has become as powerful as we have over the course of the lifetime of this planet. Understand that. The only other one that grew like us, but they dominated other nations, we don't dominate other nations, was Rome. Rome moved in, attacked the armies, killed the armies, and took control of the land. We don't do that. Do you see us saying, okay, part of Germany is ours, and part of Russia is ours, or part of England is ours, because we went over there and we defeated the enemy. So should we take part of that land and say it's ours? No, that's not what we're about. We aren't. And the world hates us because we sit there, we move in, we take care of the enemy, and we say, here's your land. Iraq is a prime example. We're not running their government. We're not declaring Iraq as part of the United States. That's what America is all about. And you have these fat cats who were presidents, the two Bushes, and Clinton as well as Obama, sucking the American people dry. They make $201,700 in annual retirement check. If they can't live off of that, plus their book deals, plus their speaking engagements, then they've got a problem. But you see, they don't want to give up all of this. Now, also understand that with the president, there's a full White House medical unit that is directed to be with him at all times and respond worldwide to and comprehensive medical care for the president and the vice president and their families. You're paying for that, people. When you understand that you're being sucked dry by this Obamacare, and the idiot Republicans are out there sitting there saying, well, we got a better plan. No, they don't. They don't, because the American people do not want the government involved. And yet, at the same time, when you're struggling to make insurance payments, and for you 35 million, 37 million who don't have insurance, understand this, that the vice president, the president, and their families have medical teams standing by with them to take care of them if anything happens. And that's the Clintons, that's the Bushes, and that's Carter, as well as Obama. Anything happens, and they don't pay for it. You pay for it. Okay? Understand that. So when you're struggling to do that monthly payment for your insurance, think about that. The official physicians to the president oversee a staff of 3 to 5 military physicians, nurses, medical assistants, and medics. The official physician and some members of his or her staff remain available to the president at all times in the White House or during the president's trips. Now understand this. Understand this. That look at the salaries. Find out what the ranks are, and then you can go on military rank salaries, and it'll tell you a colonel, if he's got 20 years, is making $60,000, and he's just sitting around waiting for the president to get sick. And then he's got 3 to 5 military people with him, nurses and doctors. Nurses are officers, so they're going to be up there in salaries. So you might be paying, I don't know, an upward of maybe $250,000 for a medical team standing by, maybe even more, maybe $500,000, for a medical team standing by to take care of the president and his family, vice president and his family, while you people are suffering under the Obamacare Act. And the idiots we have in the Republican side of the House are just trying to keep all of the taxes and get everything that's supposed to be in there, in there. And I'm going to put up I'll put up a blog on the medical system, because really, people, we do not want the federal government involved. Now, why? Look at the VA. It took years to get the VA to straighten itself out. Only under Trump. And do you think when Trump leaves that they're going to continue doing? Not if they get a Democrat in there. No, they're going to stop. People were dying in the VA because they weren't being treated in a timely manner. And it's happening outside as well. I went into the doctor for just an annual checkup, and he sees a little blip on my EKG. And I told him, I said, yeah, I know, I have heart palpitations. Well, this is a little bit more important. This is a little bit more important. So we should set you up with a specialist. Now, right there, he's causing my Medicare program to pay more money to have my heart checked out. Okay? So I said, all right, fine. If you think it's that important that I have to go in and see the doctor, okay, fine. A week and a half later, I get a call from the doctor's office, and they want to set up an appointment for 2 months down the road. If it is that important, I could die in this time period. And, oh, well, we told him he needed, but the doctors are sitting there just being absolutely ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous. And they will charge the Medicare program a lot of money. And I have to wait 2 months to go in and see him. So that's 2.5 months from the time the doctor said my little blip was wrong. Well, I went in for a reevaluation for the VA. And part of the problem is my heart palpitations. And they went in and they did all of the tests and did everything they needed to do, exactly what the specialist would have done. And they said, well, yeah, you have heart palpitations. Just make sure you exercise and take care of it. And cut out stress and coffee. Stress and coffee will cause this. And I said, okay, fine. So I cut out stress. That's why I do these blogs. I get so aggravated that this is the way I can express myself and keep my stress level down. And that's important to everybody. But I talk about issues that are important to the American people. Now, the White House, the military is paying for the doctors. So Obama doesn't need to include the medical in his $1,153,000 budget. Question is, what's it for? Nobody's coming out saying what his budget is for, what he wants to do with it. He really doesn't need that much money. And if he's getting it, we have to ask, is his mortgage payment on the multi-million-dollar home in Washington, D.C. included in that? If it is, then we have to say, no, you're making $200,000. If you can't afford to live in Washington, D.C. on $200,000, move. Nothing says that you have to stay in Washington, D.C. He can go back to his home state. He doesn't want to go back there. Not with all of the hate and the destruction that's going on back there. He doesn't want that. So understand, we need to make changes. President Trump wants to clean the swamp, empty the swamp. This is part of it, people. Sitting there looking at what budgets are coming in from Congress and from retirees and say, no, enough is enough. Okay? Now, if congressmen have to pay for their trips to go back home, well, maybe that's okay. Round trip tickets, 3 times a year. Think about how much time they actually spend in Congress. And these commissions that they come up with. The Democrats are looking into the connection. It's been 9 months, people. They've been looking into the connections between the Russians and President Trump. Where's any evidence or proof that it occurred? Why aren't they coming out saying this is going on and that's going on, this is what we're looking at and that's what we're looking at? They're not doing that, but they've got a team of what, 8, 9 people who are lawyers who are making hundreds of $1,000s to do this. They're sitting there sucking the American people dry. 9 months, people, and they have nothing. Absolutely nothing. It's time to close the commission up and move on. If anything, we should be sitting there looking at those who are ripping the American people off, such as the Clintons, the lies that they've put out there. Hillary Clinton is selling books. She's got enough money. She doesn't need a budget. Bill Clinton sold books. He's been on talk shows. He's been on the speaking tour. He's made multi-million dollars. He has a multi-million-dollar portfolio. He doesn't need any more. No budgets for him. Understand that. If you can't live on what we give you, don't ask for more and don't run for the presidency. That's the other thing they need to learn. We are just being sucked dry, and we need to stop that. Write your congressman, email your congressman, call your congressman, and say enough is enough. Okay? With that, I want to say thank you for listening to One Man's Opinion. God bless and take care.